Hi, I'm Bhutan Dor, and this is my astrology YouTube channel. And I am an astrologer who focuses on the moon. And I've been doing that for a really long time, and so I'm like really happy to share and have this platform where I can talk about the things that I love. So if it interests anyone, that's awesome. And feel free to write me in the comments. I would love to hear from anyone. So I'm going to start my episode today with looking back at the new moon, and then I'm going to talk about the full moon in Capricorn coming up. And with that full moon, there's like a ton of astrology going on. It's feels like it's going to be a time of like some ups and downs and a lot of polarities and just like multiple personalities in a way, but not in a Gemini way, just in a, well, kind of in a Gemini way. Yeah, actually, there's a lot going on. So I did want to talk and go back a little bit to the Gemini new moon that we had on, that was, what day was that? That was June 14th. And the day after that, I saw a movie. It's called Pressure, and it's about D-Day in World War II. And there were just so many Gemini themes from this movie that I thought was really cool. And it made me realize that the Battle of D-Day is a Gemini event. It took place on June 6th, 1944. It wasn't supposed to take place on that day. It was supposed to take place on June 4th. And then two meteorologists couldn't decide, they couldn't agree on what the weather would be that day. And so the battle ended up getting delayed. And it was a good thing because one of the meteorologists was right. There was a big storm that came in. They were betting on good weather, but actually a big storm came in. And so they thought, oh, we're screwed. We're not going to be able to do this great battle. But there was a break in the storm. And there's a great line from the movie where President Eisenhower, he's General Eisenhower at the time, says, it's sunny outside and you tell me not to go to battle. There's a hurricane coming and you're telling me to go to battle. And there's just like a lot of Gemini things like that where you think one thing and then it's another, and there's variations on this and it flips like this. And what happened was that there was a break in the storm, and that's when they decided to attack the enemy, and they won because they took the enemy by surprise because there just happened to be a break in the storm. And anyway, it's a battle that takes place on land and sea. I'm not going to pretend to like be an expert, but I've just like learned, and I love history, and there were just so many Gemini themes, and I was like, wow, this is a really interesting way to look at this event. But going on now, I want to talk about the Capricorn full moon, which is like a totally different energy from the Gemini new moon. So we are in Cancer season right now. The summer solstice was on June 21st, so happy summer solstice. The solstice was the first day of the new year for the Egyptians. And to me, it's a really celebratory event, the longest day of the year. So I love the moon, I love the sun too. Okay, so Capricorn full moon is a difficult aspect just in general. There's a particular Capricorn full moon that happened a few years ago, and I just remember being like so emotional, it is because when you have the sun opposed to the moon and the sun is in Cancer, the sign that, the dispositor of Cancer is the moon. Typically, it's a place where the moon feels very safe, is in Cancer, but then you have it opposing it in the sign of Capricorn, and the moon, as it's talked about in astrology, is in detriment in the sign of Capricorn. And I think about that in those moments when like you having like a peak memory and like something is really good and it hits you. Like it's almost gonna make me think of it, like cry about it right now. It's like this will not last, or maybe you're having a good moment and you remember somebody that died and you're like, this person will never be here for this again. I mean, unless they're in my imagination, but I mean, like, what I'm trying to say is that the Capricorn full moon to me is this like emotional reality check, and it can feel really sad. It's like thinking about the passage of time and like children getting older. I think that's the one that gets to me. It's like, okay, I only have 4 more summers left of my, child being, living in my house, possibly. I mean, I can't see into the future. even with all the astrology, but yeah, it's just like those reality checks of the passage of time, and it can be a sad moon. Like in horary astrology, which is like the kind of astrology that I practice typically, if you see a chart and the moon is in the sign of Capricorn, it would make you pause. It would make you wonder, what is the reality check here? And I know many people with Capricorn moons in their natal chart, and so that doesn't necessarily mean that there's anything wrong. I have planets like in detriment and a lot of that in my natal chart as well, but it is one that can hit you, I think, in a certain way that it hits. So I do have a few notes about it here. Maybe I can just read a few. Okay, Cancer wants us to feel. Cancer reminds us of home, family, roots, and emotional connection. The ruler of Cancer is the moon itself. So when we see the moon opposing the sun from Capricorn, there's already a heightened emotional quality to this lunation. But the moon is in Capricorn, a sign that often reminds us of life's limitations. Capricorn understands that everything exists within time. It understands aging. It understands responsibility. It understands mortality, and because of that, Capricorn can sometimes feel sad. You may find yourself having a beautiful moment with family only to remember that someone you love is no longer there. You may watch children growing older and realize that certain stages of life are already passing. You may find yourself remembering a treasured experience and feeling both gratitude and loss at the same time. Sweet memories are only sweet because they don't last forever. The time is now. This full moon reminds us of that reality, not to hurt us, but to wake us up to the preciousness of the present moment. And so I would say that this full moon is about like coming back to the present moment. And I have a little bit more to add to that, but let me get on to my next part here before, because what I want to talk about is there's a trine right before this full moon. Maybe I'll just go ahead and talk about it now. There's a trine before this full moon, which is Venus in Leo trining Saturn in Aries. And I think that's really going to be a place to kind of find a sweet spot. So I'm thinking a lot like, how can you play? How can you play? Venus in Leo to me is a lot about play. It's a lot about having fun. So like, where can you play in this full moon to kind of release, or at least have a good time, or be more present? So it would be a good idea to look and see, if you know your natal chart, you know where Leo is. Venus is going to be passing through there. And so you might want to see like, there might be something in there that you find you're like, wait, that's like not going that great, but maybe you can find a silver lining. Or maybe you can find a way to play, or find it, well, at least I'm getting this out of that, So we do what we can here on Earth to get through the challenges. So Saturn, we have to look at Saturn too on this full moon, because Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is also not placed very well. It's kind of like a double whammy here on this full moon chart. And so there are frustrations, there are delays. There could be something frustrating going on. But I just want to talk about this now, that Venus and Leo, that permission to be a kid, I think is going to be helpful. I think that, let me read my notes here, what I said, sometimes maturity isn't about becoming more serious. Sometimes maturity is giving yourself permission to play. Dance, create something, go to the beach, watch a favorite childhood movie, laugh with your friends. Remember what brings you joy. And I think this aspect may be one of the keys to navigating this otherwise intense full moon. If we remember to be playful, it can carry us through this wild lunation. Okay, so all that's going on, and then that's great. And then there's this really interesting aspect going on that's like really wild, just aside from the full moon part. And this is, I'm calling the great aha moment. We have Pluto trining Uranus and Mars. A trine is maybe gentle isn't the right word. Trine is a friendly aspect. And then we have these two, like, Uranus is like, unpredictable, electric, we don't know. And then Mars is powerful and can be a bit combative. So this is aside from the full moon, so then there's this aspect going on, and I just wanted to bring it up in here because it's going to be happening during the full moon. And so you may feel breakthrough energy, sudden realizations, radical new thoughts, unexpected insights, a flash of understanding that changes how you've been viewing a situation. You may suddenly see a solution where there wasn't one before, and you may feel energized by a possibility that never occurred to you. You may discover a new vision for your future. And those are like all really positive ways of spinning this. It could be really intense. But I just wanted to throw that out there. That's why I'm making this video, is because I love listening to other astrologers and their take. And I always appreciate learning about the astro weather. So I wanted to add that in there. And then also, as if that all wasn't enough, on June 29th, the day of the full moon, Mercury is going retrograde in Cancer, which is like, for me, it's not that big of a deal. I'm a Gemini rising, so I've got a prominent Mercury in my chart. And so I like Mercury retrograde because I need to go back and re-look at stuff. But it is in the sign of Cancer, which isn't a bad thing, but it could be a lot of reminiscing. And it's kind of like, okay, if things aren't really nostalgic enough, just being in Cancer, the sun being in Cancer, it could bring memories rushing back, family stories, old photographs, conversations from the past, people we once knew, forgotten pieces of ourselves. This energy invites reflection rather than escape. The past may return, not so that we can live there, but so we can understand it more deeply. All right, so I just have a few closing thoughts here. This full moon may bring tears, it may bring nostalgia, it may remind us of what has changed and what has been lost, but it also brings wisdom, and Capricorn teaches us that time is precious. Cancer teaches us why it is precious. Together they remind us to cherish the people, experiences, and memories that make up a life. Give yourself space during this full moon, be gentle with your heart, stay open to unexpected insights, and above all, remember to play. Sometimes that's exactly what carries us through the wildest lunations. Best of luck under this Capricorn full moon. And yes, the new moon, I do a lot of like stuff. I follow the cycles of the moon, and the new moon, I do a lot of stuff, but I keep my schedule really open during a full moon. I mean, it's the full moon, so it's gonna be wild. So anyway, thanks for listening, and that's my astrology. Bye.